The next speaker is Paige Olson. She's going to be doing project number 5, Your Body Speaks, from the Competent Communication Manual, for 5 to 7 minutes. The title is called Lessons in Leadership from My Course. Here's an introduction. While horses communicate verbally, most of their communication is done through body language. Understanding their body language and correctly using it to communicate with them is critical in being given and maintaining the position of leader. Paige has worked with many horses and taught a class of natural horsemanship to homeschool children. In Paige's speech, Lessons in Leadership from My Horse, she will share what her horse Arthur taught her and continues to teach her about leadership. Let's welcome Paige.
About 11 years ago, I found myself standing at the wooden railing of an arena in Duval, at a barn where I taught this school, this natural horsemanship school. It was a weekend. We had a visiting natural horseman trainer in town at the barn for the weekend. And in the mornings, he did the kids on their ponies and horses. And my daughter, who at that time, about 11 or 12, was in the class. So I was standing there watching the horses in the class, and there was this one horse. He was a quarter pink, as we call him. So he was a paint-colored horse, but he was a quarter horse. Had a young girl on his back, and he was not a happy camper. Not a happy camper. And eventually, he was not a happy camper enough that he bucked, and the little girl fell off. The owner had it. She said, "I'm done. I'm scared of the horse anyway. I'm putting him away." He happened at that time to live at the barn. So she put him away, much to the upsetness of the visiting trainer. He said, "That's exactly the wrong message to send this horse." Well, following this event, the owner said, "I'm getting rid of this horse." The horse was 6 years old. She didn't want him anymore. That was it. So the owner of the barn and my daughter, "Mom, please, please, Mom, you have to get this horse. He's perfect for you." And I thought, and all the time I'd been teaching at the barn there, I had never really been in contact with this horse because he's not one of the horses that we use. So I said, "Oh, well, okay." So I went and I visited with him, and I noticed something in his eyes. They were really sad. And behind that sadness was this, it's hard to put into words, but this life, this glow. And I thought, okay. I found out a little bit about him. He'd had a really bad life, emotionally bad, almost abusive early years, and he had been extremely sick, should have died, but he didn't. So I thought, okay, I'll ride him, we'll give him a chance. And I got on his back, and I found out he was emotionally dead. And what I mean by emotionally dead is he responded to nothing. So the only way to get him to respond is to get really big and kick and pull it, and he had just shielded himself from all of this. And I thought, there's something about this horse that spoke to me. And I said, "Hey, we'll buy him." We bought him, brought him home that day, and he lives still to this day in the arena and the barns right next to our house. I'm telling you, he's the most marvelous horse. I mean, my daughter couldn't touch him for 4 or 5 years. It's a journey to become the leader of a horse where we humans really need to be. We need to be the leader so that we remain safe. It's a journey. He's still teaching me to this day. But the first thing I had to do was bond with him, connect with him, seek from him permission to be his leader. I couldn't demand it, command it, or require it in any way. I had to ask him for permission, and that is earned through trust. So the number one thing in trust, the number one thing for building this connection is who moves whose feet. If I move your feet, if I tell you where you can eat, if I tell you where to go and how long to stay there, I'm higher than you are in the hierarchy. And a herd can be 2 people, or a horse and a person in this case. It doesn't have to be a lot. So I'm in charge. If you tell me where to move my feet or where to go or how long to stay there, you're my boss. So this was a journey. And the journey has multiple parts, and it has a lot of subtleness to it. And I don't have time for all the subtleness. Matter of fact, I don't even know all the subtleness. It's a life's journey. But at the very basic level, I had to get him to move his feet. And they don't speak English. Last time I learned, they speak what's called equus, the language of the horse, equus. So I had to learn how to get him to move his feet where I wanted him to move his feet through my body. So the first thing was I needed to get him to move around the ring at the speed I dictated. And so how do you do that? Well, so your hips and your feet and your eyes and your hand. So he's over there, and I have to speak to his rump. His engine is in his butt. So I had to tell his butt which direction to move. So by positioning my hip and my foot and my hand and my eyes in the direction I wanted him to go, and then putting pressure on his rump, I could move him in that direction around the ring. And we did that. And if I wanted to go faster, I could get him to go faster. Now, it doesn't mean I stood still, but I go after him and I put pressure on him. And by putting on that pressure, I got him to move faster. If I was okay with him slowing down, I'd remove the pressure. If he got naughty, I'd look right at his eyes. By looking at his eyes, he didn't like that. And so I could then remove the pressure and he would behave. If I wanted him to change direction, I would back up. And he would stop eventually. If he didn't stop, I put on the pressure and I made him go faster. And then I would back up. And if he would turn and face me when I backed up, then I go, okay. And then I open this hip, and I point with this foot, and I open this hand, and I get back so that from his perspective, I'm at his engine, and I'd ask him to move around the ring. And then we did different things. I got to the point where I could ask him by looking with my eyes at his rear end, and he moved away from me. That's what we want. That's my safety zone. He moves away from me. So how do I know when he's starting to say, I believe in you, I trust you, I'm going to let you lead me? Well, there's 3 signs. And the first sign is their ears. They start going like this, doink, I'm listening to you. That's the middle of the ring. Doink, I'm listening to you. Number 2, now number 2 and number 3 can be in different orders. So number 2 we'll talk about is they start licking and chewing. They'll stop and they'll, and they're going, okay, I'm listening. Think about it, and then they'll drop their nose to the ground. And they'll go around with their nose, dragging on the ground, and then they might pop it back up again, and then they'll drag it around, and then they'll lick and chew. And you can stop, and you can see, and if they turn to face you, and they might even walk over to you, and as long as they stop a step away from you, they're showing you respect as the leader. Then you take the step forward to accept them into your herd, and you give them a pat. And then I could turn around and he followed me just like a little baby, wherever we went. Today, he still reminds me if I am neglectful in my time spent with him, if I'm neglectful in being away too long, he reminds me by letting me know, getting in my personal space, chicken wings. I'll get him out of my space, but he will put pressure on me, and then I have to say, no, I'm your leader, and we'll do a little bit of an exercise. I move his feet, and he goes, okay.